The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday. File 37, The Two Sisters. Today is a day off for Olivia Street. As a freelance investigating lawyer, if she's not working, she's not earning. So on most days her diary is full with a combination of private clients and corporate legal work. It's a Wednesday in June, and the sun is out over London. She stands on the balcony of her apartment near Tower Bridge, that overlooks the River Thames, as it flows out to the North Sea. She decides to eat out for breakfast and drops down the staircase, then walks along the hot pavements of the roads near where she lives. She buys a smoked salmon and cream cheese open sandwich and an Americano at Ole & Steen on Tooley Street, then sits outside to watch the people passing by. As she finishes, Olivia can hear her phone vibrating in her bag by her feet, and she leans down to get it. She glances at the screen and slides her finger across to answer. "Inspector Miren, this is a surprise." "Miss Street, I need your help." "Always happy to help the Metropolitan Police, Inspector. What can I do for you?" "It's an urgent matter, Miss Street. I'd rather talk face to face." "Where are you?" "It's near my place, Kennington." "Do you want to meet now?" she says. "I do. I'll meet you at the gates of Kennington Park, 5 minutes down the road from the tube station." "I'll see you there in half an hour." She goes into the London Underground, then comes up into the light again at Kennington. She walks south along the main road. Olivia can see Miren waiting by the park gates. He is of average build, not short and not tall. He has dark hair and kind green eyes. Olivia doesn't know his age, but she's always thought that he's about 40. Normally he wears a dark grey suit that he's had for 10 years, but given the weather he has dispensed with his jacket, and his white shirt sleeves are rolled up to the elbow. He sees her when she's 50 yards away, but they don't wave, and when she reaches him, he nods his head upwards by way of greeting. "Thank you for coming," he says. "Shall we walk?" He indicates the park, beyond the plain black railings. "I grew up around here, did you know?" "I didn't." "My dad used to take me to the cricket when I was a lad. It's only over the road. This is my part of London, you know. It's part of me. I'd never live anywhere else. Anyway, let me tell you what's happened." He breathes in and out more slowly than usual, as his mind chooses the right words. "Last night, a man died near here." She waits for more and watches his features. "Nick Padlow, he was called. One of my colleagues, Sergeant Phil Jameson. He's confessed. I've been put on the case. I don't believe Phil did it. I've known him for 5 years. He's not a killer. But I also know that I won't be able to see the case objectively. So can you help me?" "To act as your proxy?" "No, to bring your objectivity. You're good at seeing different angles, and you don't know these people like I do." Across the grass and beneath the trees around them, no more than 6 people are there. A boy throwing a stick to his dog, a young woman sunbathing, and an old man asleep in a deck chair. They reach a bench by the side of the path and sit down. "What do you know about the dead man, Nick Padlow?" she says. "Local businessman, fingers in pies." "Unscrupulous?" She opens her eyes slightly. "I don't know that, but he did have a reputation, and a beautiful girlfriend, Gail Moon. He was no good for her." "You know her, do you?" says Olivia. "I grew up around here, so did she. We all did." "What's your relationship with Gail?" "We went out when we were 16. She dumped me for Dave Warwick. I still don't know why." He smiles. "Why did you say that Mr. Padlow was no good for her?" "It started to go wrong between them after a year, but she couldn't get out." "Why?" "He used her name on some business documents, contracts, that sort of thing. She was liable. if he walked away? She could have got a solicitor to change the contracts, says Olivia. Gail was scared of him. Tell me about Padlow's death. Multiple stab wounds, found in their front garden. They live on Chapter Road, 5 minutes away. Body was found by a jogger passing by, says Miren. Here's my plan, Miss Street. I've got 2 constables at the crime scene. I've also got Phil Jameson locked in the back of a patrol car outside the house. He'll need a lawyer. I take you there now. Tell him that you can represent him. That will give you the chance to talk to him and have access to the case files. All right, she says. Let's go and talk to Mr. Jameson. They stand up and return to the gates, then walk 3 blocks to the east. Chapter Road snakes around a central park, and one section of it has elegant Victorian terraced homes lining either side. The front garden of the house at the end of the terrace is enveloped by a white plastic tent, and there are 2 police vehicles parked on the road right outside. Miren unlocks the doors to one of the cars, and Olivia slides onto the back seat, next to Phil Jameson. Sergeant, I'm Olivia Street. Inspector Miren has asked that I represent you in this case. Jameson has fair hair and brown eyes. He doesn't seem nervous, she notices. You just need to oversee that I'm treated fairly during the criminal process, Miss Street. I've confessed. Tell me about you, Phil. Some background to allow me to support you in the best way I can. I've been in the Met for 8 years. He uses the nickname for London's Metropolitan Police Force. Beat constable for 3, transferred to the BRDC. Did well, enjoyed it. Got my sergeant's stripe nearly 2 years ago. You enjoy your job? Yeah, detective work is better than beat officer. More interesting, more flexible. You seem ambitious. Phil stops and looks at her. Not anymore. Tell me about the deceased, Nick Padlow, she says. Nasty piece of work. I've known him all my life. He was a bully at school. Then he grew up, and he stayed a bully. He's a businessman, is that right? What sort of business? Hire company, skips, jackhammers, diggers. His customers are house builders, mainly. You know his girlfriend, Gail? Phil's face changes for a moment, and Olivia can tell that now he's going to lie. Vaguely. You've known her all her life too, have you? All of you went to school together. He shakes his head mildly, trying to dismiss the question as irrelevant. I guess, he says. Tell me about killing Mr. Padlow, Phil. She watches his face. I was walking back from the pub last night, minding my own business. The pub's on the main road. You live near here? 2 roads over, he says. Go on. Nick was on the pavement. I stepped to one side. He did the same. I stepped the other way. He got in my way again. I ranted. He got angry. He produced a knife. I do karate, so I'm nifty with self-defence, says Phil. He made a swing for me. I parried it away. Went to take the blade off him. He twisted his hand. I fumbled it. We both had hands on the knife, pushing each way, you know. Suddenly his strength goes. I keep pushing. The blade goes into his neck. You realised what had happened immediately? Yeah. Called the ambulance, but he was dead within 5 minutes. Nothing I could do. So you're stating it was manslaughter from self-defence? Specifically, loss of control under the Coroners and Justice Act 2009? Yeah, I know my law. 3-year sentence. Out in 18 months, maybe a year. An open prison somewhere in the countryside due to my previous clean record. All very neat and tidy, she says. That's the law. And he did die. You have to take it on the chin sometimes. Let me talk to Inspector Miren, says Olivia, and then I'll come back to you. She steps back outside. Miren is leaning on the front wall of the end house and watching the forensics officers at work under the tent. Olivia stands beside him, and he stands up and turns to her. Load of old baloney, innit? He says. Did he spin his self-defence story? He was just walking along and got into an argument? It doesn't seem realistic, she says. And he's not emotional or upset in any way. I've had 2 cases in the last couple of years that have used loss of control as the defense. And the accused were distraught after the attack, as one would expect after losing control. But Phil Jameson seems entirely in control. Girl's inside, says Miren. Should we talk to her together? You haven't interviewed her yet? He looks uncomfortable. I was waiting for you. Come on then, Inspector. Miren leads her to the black front door, and he rings the bell in the centre of the wood. When it opens, a blonde woman in her late 30s, with beautiful grey eyes, is standing there, wearing blue jeans and a white shirt. She is calm. Hello, Larry, she smiles. Can we come in, girl? Is this your sergeant? The woman smiles at Olivia. Phil's lawyer, he says. Gail Moon, Olivia Street. Gail turns around and walks off down the hallway to a lounge on the left-hand side. It has modern and expensive furnishings, with a magnolia leather sofa along one wall and unmatching armchairs opposite it. Tea, she says. Yeah, go on. Olivia and Miren sit on the sofa, and Gail returns with 3 white porcelain mugs after less than a minute. She places them down on a low oval table. We're going to ask you some questions about Nick, says Miren. And she smiles again. Tell us what happened, he says. I was in bed. He'd gone out to buy milk. We'd run out. She flicks her eyes to Olivia. At the petrol station. It's open all night. And he didn't come back, says Miren. I fell asleep. I was woken up when I heard a scuffle outside and shouting. I don't know what they were saying. 2 men there. The bed was empty next to me. What did you think had happened? Says Olivia. I didn't. You were quite happy not knowing where he was? He was that sort of man. He didn't like being tracked every minute of the day. Did he often just disappear without letting you know where he was? Says Olivia. Gail nods and opens her eyes wider. Yes, often. When did you find out he was in your front garden? Says Miren. 5 minutes later, an ambulance pulled up outside with its blue lights on. I hadn't fallen to sleep, so I looked out and saw Phil talking to the paramedics. How do you know Phil? Says Olivia, smiling. He's a friend. Were you lovers? Olivia doesn't blink, as Gail looks at her. He's already confessed, hasn't he? What more is needed? Can I take your answer as confirming that you and Phil are lovers? Says Olivia. It's important, Gail. Nick was unfaithful as well. He slept with my sister Ruth. We can ask Ruth about that, says Olivia. You don't believe me? An investigation is about collecting evidence. No one is trusted because everyone has the capacity to lie. Gail looks indignant. Is that the way the police allow a new widow to be treated, Larry? Personal questions so soon after my Nick's death? I don't like your tone, Miss whatever your name is. Street, says Olivia. I have a professional responsibility, Gail, to ensure that my client is treated fairly in the process of the law, despite his guilty plea. That responsibility includes ensuring that the police have all of the required information available to them so they can do their job and see that justice is applied. There's an awkward pause between the 3 of them, so Olivia continues. Let me put something to you. I think that you and Phil Jameson are in a relationship, and that your reluctance to tell the truth indicates that you're hiding something more than the fact that you're sleeping together. What else are you hiding? I want you to leave, says Gail. Larry, I don't have to answer anything, do I? Miren sighs and looks pained. Gail, I already knew about you and Phil. It's common knowledge at the police station. She looks hurt. Did you arrange to meet Phil Jameson last night, Gail? Is that why he was in the area?
He only lives 2 streets away.
Gail's eyes are flaring now, as her mind ratchets through what she needs to say. "Do you suspect that your husband knew about your affair?" says Olivia. "Because that could be a defence for Phil. If Nick saw him leaving the house and attacked him, it's a clearer case. But as long as you keep denying the affair, Phil has to stick with his 'I was walking back from the pub' story to justify why he was outside of your home in the night. We can check that story too and ask for witnesses in the pub. My guess is that no one saw him because he wasn't in the pub. Was he, Gail?"
"All right. Yes, he's my lover, and yes, he was here. Nick wasn't out getting milk. He was coming back from a business trip. He arrived early, thinking it would be a surprise. It certainly was that."
"So let's start again," says Olivia. "Take us through the actual events of last night."
"Like I said, Nick was away. 3 days in Leeds, Liverpool and Manchester. He drove. He's got a Lexus V8, so you can hear the engine. It's very distinctive."
"You two were in bed," says Olivia. "And you heard the sound of your husband's car arriving?"
"On that sofa, actually, but yes,"
says Gail. "What was Phil's reaction when he heard the car?" says Olivia.
"He got dressed."
"Was he in a panic?"
"No, he's generally chilled, not a man for sudden actions."
"What happened then?"
"As Phil was getting dressed, I told him to go over the back wall, into next door's garden, and around to the road, because the front door's the only way out. But we heard Nick's key in the door, and suddenly he was here in the room. Phil couldn't escape."
"Who attacked first?" says Miren.
"Nick did, of course. He was furious. He punched Phil and slapped me. Nick had too many Michelin-starred dinners to be lithe any more. Phil overpowered him."
"And?" says Miren. "How'd you get from there to Nick's corpse, bleeding out in your front garden?" There's a tiny look on Gail's face that lasts for less than a second, but Olivia's seen that look before, on the face of witnesses. It's the look that they're moving from the truth to an invented part of their testimony. From the hundreds of witnesses that she's talked to in the UK, and during her 4 years as a lawyer in California, Olivia knows that look.
"Phil manhandled Nick out of the front door,"
continues Gail.
"Nick found some residual anger inside him and produced a knife. Phil was just a better fighter."
The sound of the front door bell cuts through the house. They all look at each other.
"Shall I?"
says Gail, after a second. "I'll go," says Inspector Miren, and he stands up and walks out. Gail and Olivia catch each other's gaze as they sit opposite each other. Then Miren is back with the caller. "It's your sister," he says to Gail. And she gets up, and the Moon daughters hug. Ruth is dark-haired, with the same grey eyes as Gail, but she is less confident in her manner. "This is timely, Ruth," says Olivia, standing up and offering her hand to the newcomer. "I'm a lawyer representing Phil in the death of Nick Padlow. You knew the deceased, I believe?"
"We're not going to do this now, surely, Larry,"
says Gail.
"Ruth has nothing to do with this."
Olivia turns to look at the inspector as he has the power to continue or terminate this discussion. "Just a few minutes, Gail. It'll help us clarify the facts for Phil's defence." Everyone can see that Gail is furious behind her silence. "Have a seat, Ruth," says Miren, and the second sister drops into the other armchair. "Tell us what you know about Nick Padlow."
"He's been with Gail for 4 years.
She looks at her sister.
"Successful. I've known him vaguely since school, but I'm a couple of years younger than him."
"How close were you to him?" says Olivia. Ruth pauses and looks at Gail again. "We know you slept with him," says Olivia, "if that helps you clarify your memories. How long ago was that?" There's a look that is hard to decipher on Ruth's face, and this time she looks at the floor, not her sister. "Ah," says Olivia. "What is it?" says Miren to her. Do you want to tell them, Ruth, or shall I? Ruth remains silent. There were two affairs within this couple, Inspector. Not just Gail and Phil, but also Nick and Ruth. The sisters exchange a glance. Where do you live, Ruth? Says Miren.
Albany Road by the park.
10 minutes away, he says.
Something like that.
Were you in or around Chapter Street last night? Her face is becoming more concerned. We'll take that as a yes, Ruth, says Olivia. Tell us in your own words what happened last night. Ruth doesn't speak. I realize this is difficult. Let me say to both of you. She looks at each sister in turn. When people lie, they always create what we might call the main false narrative. They think that that is all there is to lying, but it's not. The truth can be viewed from any angle and still be consistent. A lie has to be constructed to be the same, with a complex set of interweaving fictional facts. Ruth looks serious. My advice to you both is that now is the time to tell the truth, because it will come out eventually, anyway.
Nick and Gail haven't been getting on for a while, says Ruth. He often stays with me. He was at mine for the last 3 nights.
Olivia checks Gail's face, but she can't tell what she's thinking.
I knew Phil was here in the evening last night,
continues Ruth.
Gail and I were talking about it on the phone, and Nick overheard, got all moody. He stormed out. I ran after him. I've seen him like this before. He nearly killed a bloke once at a club for no reason.
She's getting into the swing of the story now.
When he got here, he didn't go to the front door, though. He went down the alleyway at the side where the bins are. I followed him. He went over the fence. I couldn't do that, so I ran round to the front door and rang the bell. I could hear shouting inside, but no one opened the door. Then suddenly it flew open, and Nick was there. He had a knife in his hand, and Phil was right behind him. They'd been fighting. He grabbed Nick. I got out of the way. They fought. Nick kept swinging his knife about. Then Nick went down on the ground, and blood spurted out. Phil called the ambulance, but there was nothing we could do. By the time the paramedics got here, he was dead. They tried to bring him back, but it was no use.
The doorbell rings again. Paul's right there, says Miren. And again he walks off down the hallway. This time he returns alone. Miss Street, would you come with me? He says. Then he turns to the sisters. Won't be long. More tea will be welcome. Olivia walks out with the policeman, and he stops next to the forensics tent at the front of the house. Molly, he calls in as he lifts up the tent flap, and a woman with auburn hair and pale green eyes appears and clambers out. Tell Miss Street what you found.
Stab wounds to the neck, torso, and abdomen, with a seam bleed, and that is consistent with the weapon found on the ground next to the body.
She looks at Miren and then Olivia.
But the body's been moved, and the wounds range from slight to severe in ferocity.
Nasty, says Miren.
Whoever it was took their time. It wasn't all in one go. 3 bursts of the attack, one hard, then getting less damaging over time.
I know what this is, says Olivia. Could we get Phil Jameson to the house, Inspector? Olivia walks back inside, and Miren brings Phil in from the car. Everyone congregates in the lounge, and Phil is sat down on a chair just as the Moon sisters walk in with more tea. Would you ladies also like to take a seat, please? Says Miren. And the Inspector and Olivia stand at one end of the room. We have some new evidence, he begins, addressing everyone. Forensics have identified how death occurred. We've also talked to all of you about the events of last night, and there are some inconsistencies. He turns to Olivia. Miss Street, would you like to go through what we found? Each of you has told us your views about what happened in the house last night. All of those stories ended with the death of Nick Padlow. You, Phil, told how you were passing by and
got into a fight with him. You, Gail, told us how you were in flagranti in this room, and your boyfriend arrived home unexpectedly. And you, Ruth, related how you made the error of talking to your sister about her lover, and Nick, who was also your boyfriend, stormed around to this house. She looks around the room. The forensic evidence indicates multiple attacks, and once we've swabbed under your fingernails and taken DNA samples from all three of you, I think the case for the prosecution is a strong one. It's my view that all three of you stabbed Nick Padlow. There's enough circumstantial evidence for you all to be arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to murder. Under the law, all of you are equally liable. It wouldn't have mattered if only one of you had done it. But that's not what happened here, is it? Who is the bravest of you? She says. Who is actually going to tell the truth? 2 seconds go by in the room, and no one talks, but everyone watches everyone else.
It was my idea,
says Ruth.
Nick and I got married in Cyprus 3 months ago. Gail was going to marry him, but she couldn't face it. Nick wanted to stay with us both. 2 sisters, 2 relationships. He didn't know we knew.
And you planned his death so that you would inherit his businesses. Is that right? Says Olivia. And Ruth nods.
He's got no will, so as his wife I would inherit automatically. As long as one of us was his wife, it wouldn't have mattered.
And the actual events of last night? Olivia looks around to all 3 of them.
He really was on a business trip,
says Gail.
But he didn't surprise us by arriving early. The 3 of us had dinner while he was driving back down from the north. When we heard his car outside, we shut off the lights and waited in the darkness. We heard his key in the lock and the sound of the door opening. We heard his footsteps along the passageway, and he came in here to the lounge. Phil stabbed him first, then Ruth and I. We waited for him to die before Phil dragged him out and dumped him in the garden before we called the ambulance.
Miren stands up and walks to the front door. He calls to his 2 police constables who are guarding the crime scene, and he beckons them to come inside. Miren arrests Phil, Gail, and Ruth, and they are led out to be taken to the police station for formal interview. Olivia waits on the pavement, and the white-overalled forensic team expand their analysis area to the inside of the house. Inspector Miren walks over to her.
Thank you, Miss Street. I knew you would see through it all. 3 fake stories, but they all had a bit of truth in them. I've known all 3 of them since I was a kid. I believed in them, you know.
People change, Inspector, she says. We're all affected by the lives we live. We don't stay as innocent as when we were children. Thank goodness. He smiles.
Can one of the lads give you a lift anywhere?
I'll walk to the tube. She shakes his hand, and Olivia Street walks off along Chapter Road. The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday.